Hi, and welcome to this episode of Zeitgeist podcast with Niklas and Flo. Hi, I'm Niklas.
Hi, I'm Flo.
Before we start today, we have one request. If you have not liked and subscribed, please like and subscribe. We are a very small channel and every subscriber counts. And now to get into that, today we're going to talk about climate change and the effect on business. I think that's a topic that has been driving you a bit, right, Flo?
Yeah, I was talking about it like a few times on my TikTok channel now, and not from the angle of like the climate change. I guess we can all agree that it's always good to help the world, no matter what. Um, but I see, especially in how Germany changed some things in the past. Now with my hometown, that it seems that things are just getting seen from one side, from one angle, and on the cost of the economics. And since I'm a self-entrepreneur, I'm obviously also wear these kind of glasses to see it from the other angle. And I feel that these changes might hurt the economics in the near future. So that's why I think we should talk about it.
Yeah, so what does it mean? I think it's a very difficult problem, right? On the one hand, we are kind of losing the place that we live in. And on the other hand, the economy, especially in Germany, is really not doing well. And when we talk about all these topics also regarding climate change, we often talk about new regulations. And if we talk about new regulations, I think they are a huge problem in Europe, especially because they also change the mindset. It's not like the mindset is always from you can do things, kind of, and you're free to do things. And every kind of regulation, wherever it comes from, is always you cannot do things anymore. And I think if you do enough of you're not allowed to do it or you can't do it, then you end up in a pretty annoying place, and economic growth will slow down and all these things that are with it. And I think that's so what I would prefer would be taking less about like regulations and just trying to change the topic. And we talk about climate change in business. I would actually prefer to have a constructive discussion what kind of things we need to build and what value we need to create to kind of stabilize this as much as possible. That's like my take on it. Like if you look at, for example, photovoltaic, which is, I would say, the Earth is a kind of a closed system. We have the sun transmits all of the energy. So if you want to kind of slow down climate change, what can you do? You can deflect the sun from hitting the Earth. So building like large solar panels in the sky on satellites that reflect sunlight, basically. Then we have less energy hitting the Earth. Or we can at least try to just harness that energy as close as possible. And then we're talking about photovoltaic. And then I find it like, I would really wish that there would be constructive discussion around that, how we accelerate that, and not being stuck with building like energy courts in Germany, having application processes for like 15 years or something, but accelerating this build out of, for example, photovoltaic with the goal to create more clean energy and then actually also get rid of these energy consumption discussions or anything. Because if we have enough clean energy, we don't have a problem anymore. And if we had this discussion instead of regulations, I think my life, I would be a lot happier. That is kind of what I would wish, like this constructive discussion on how to move forward. And I feel the discussions around a lot of these things are often just slowing other things down. They are not really accelerating something else. That is my feeling.
I don't know. I just think that the people who screams the loudest is what it feels like, and this is just wrong. If we have to go one step backwards, I think it was a mistake to shut down the nuclear power. We can all agree that this is not the dirtiest power on earth. And we see like the strongest economics in the world are building even more of these systems because they know that this is like cheap. And right now, Germany is or Europe is destroying like every manufacturing which counts on cheap energy, and is just not competitive. So I would say right now Europe should, just work on a solution for the manufacturing, because if there is no manufacturing, then there is no money, and then you can't build anything which is clean or safe or whatever. And this is like the biggest issue right now. And I think that every person with a voice should work on building something together. With all this divided thinking, people would just not move into the right direction.
Yeah, and for me, once again, so I think, and you have kind of saying that as well, is we need to get away from stopping things to doing things. Like, I think that's really the mindset shift that we generally need. The thing is really, what can we do, like progressively? What can we build? What businesses can we build? What new energy sources can we build out? Where should investment go to accelerate moving forward? Like, good example would be Elon Musk was starting an electric car company. That's exactly the right thing. The thing is not like trying to protect like an automotive industry that is dying anyway, kind of like an old one. The right mindset is let's accelerate the things that help like moving forward. And I personally think that, for example, nuclear power is very expensive if you include like the storage cost later on. But I also don't even think that it's a large problem, because if you put just photovoltaic, hydropower a bit of wind, you are getting there. Like, you don't need that much other stuff. We have enough space on Earth to build photovoltaic to power basically everything. So why doesn't this accelerate? That's more of the large scale thing. Who is interested in protecting the old industries that exist? Why isn't it much more attractive to accelerate this new business build outs like in Europe? And then you could also just, you end up at, I was asking, why is the German economy in such a bad state, and why don't we build like new big businesses? And I think that's this all goes down to the same problem. We don't talk enough about doing new things and building new businesses and seeing how we make the future better than that is today. But we are a lot in a state of just protecting the status quo. And I think that's, for me, it's a similar thing that we see in the other discussions.
Yeah. Bureaucracy is definitely one of the biggest pain points, but also that it is not attractive to people to become self-employed, because it is a tough thing to do, at least at the beginning. You have to put a lot of time, sweat into that before you really make €1. And this just doesn't sound good. If we can make it more attractive to people to build their own business, or even if it's just a side hustle besides their job, because there's opportunity with all this digital world around us. There's enough of opportunity to start something, to get a feeling about how it is to make their own money. I guess this could solve a lot of these, at least minor issues.
Yeah, and as I said, I think we need to get to the point of wanting to build the future and not just trying to maintain the status quo. And I think that's a lot of where things are broken in Europe, to be honest. I think that will not work long time in a competitive world anyway. And if you look at like the build out of, for example, clean energy in China, they have installed a significant amount of photovoltaic. like more than anyone else in the world, by far. They are so far ahead in these areas. And I think we have a lot of discussions on environmental protection in Europe, but then on the other hand, we cannot keep up with build out of clean energy. And I think that is like, that's just not good. Like, let's have the discussions, but let's also like progressively do something about it and move forward. Yeah, that's my point.
I agree.
Yeah, maybe for you that are listening, write in the comments how you see the status of this topic. This was this episode of Zeitgeist podcast. Please like and subscribe and see you next time.
Bye-bye.